excited about the new Digisec podcast, Takeaway. And today I have on the podcast Dave. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Lovely to see you. Dave's our chairman at Digisec and all-round ambassador for our sector, the fintech sector and the payment sector. And we also have Terry, founder of Digisec.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Lovely to see you. So first, we wanted to really have a chat on about why wearable technology can bridge the gap between the brand and the customer. And this is the first of our series of podcasts. We're going to keep them short, hopefully exciting. Hopefully we'll start to get lots of people listening to them and sending us in questions, because we'd love that as well. But I guess, it would be nice to talk a little bit about what exciting applications for wearable tech have we been working on at Digisec?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into the technology just yet. I mean,
okay.
Let's stay with your first question about brand. So the issue is, I think, that in a kind of undifferentiated world, look, I have an iPhone, right? And so I have Apple Pay. And so, I walk into Waitrose, I pay with, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a black rectangle, just the same as everybody else's black rectangle. There's no brand at the point of sale. There's nothing I want to show to other people. There's nothing performative about it. It's very different if I pay with my Manchester City tie, or my Rolex. This is a hypothetical example, of course. My Swiss watch that has a payment chip inside it, or anything else that has brand that is visible, part of the transaction. And I think the reason why it's changed, I think there's two reasons to it, really. So the first is the wearables business came from a rather kind of functional place. So in the early days, the issue was, how do you get a contactless, payment chip? How do you manage to jam it inside a ring or a bracelet or something so that people can use it at point of sale? And actually, doing that is an achievement in itself. I mean, if you think of the technology that goes into that, how do you get the chip and the antenna and all that kind of thing? It is pretty cool, you know. But it's moved into a different space now, because it's moved into something that's more about brand and fashion. I mean, now it's easy to make those things. So what you see now is the emergence of, I use sports clubs as an easy example, because that's a current example. It's one people know lots about. It's a place where Digisec is active at the moment. There's something different about using a wearable when it's part of a fashion statement, a brand statement, something about you. So I think that's what's changed, really. I mean, Terry, when you first started down this path, just getting the damn things to work was an achievement, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a massive complexity. And it sounds simple, bringing fashion and technology together. But when we analysed the whole supply chain, the technology process, it was actually one complex problem to solve. And I think we did a good job at solving it now. And I think what we've done is really brought something unique to a brand that they didn't have before, turning a brand into something technically new when it's enjoyed its brand reputation, but it hasn't been in a technology sphere. I think that brings them something new and exciting together. And I think we can expand that out. You were saying about, you go into a store and you use this bit of flat black glass on a bit of flat black plastic. I think people now are looking to show their brand allegiance. And we've experienced, for example, just by the sheer fact of having the brand on a piece of metal or plastic, that a football fan can say, this is mine, this is my allegiance, this is my club, has made a huge difference to how they feel about making a payment with something other than a piece of plastic card. And it's exciting to see that.
So what is the weirdest thing then you've ever paid with?
Do you want us to actually record that?
Yes.
I don't think I'll go into the depths, but my weirdest is my fingernail.
Yes.
So we are working with a company at the moment who are embedding the chip as part of your fingernail, sort of manicure. So they're gelling it onto the nail. And the looks you get from people is phenomenal because they can't believe that you've just, with your finger, touched the pos and it's paid. And that is quite weird. But beyond that, I don't think I'll go into any more.
They're all to us.
For me, actually, oddly, it was mobile phones because many, many years ago when contactless payments were first getting underway, I don't know if you remember this, Terry, but one of the very first form factors that we got to play with was stickers.
A sticker.
And there were several companies that started to make little stickers that contained the contactless payment chips. I remember the first one I had actually was Turkish. Turkey was well ahead on this. And you could stick it on the back of your phone. And I can remember walking into shops and buying things by tapping my mobile phone. I mean, you're talking many years ago.
I bet people thought you were some kind of Martian or something.
I know. It was but what sort of sticks in my mind from that was, the reaction you got from it showed that people were actually paying attention to what you were doing. So it sounds strange now, but at the time, the weird thing was the mobile phone. In that first flush of enthusiasm, if you like, for these kind of things, people experimented with a lot of different form factors. I remember the Barclaycard pilots where they were trying bracelet. Remember those silicon bracelets?
The silicon bracelet,
key fobs, and what I remember from that was that people chose different things. Like some people liked the key. Actually, my wife has a contactless key fob. She uses all the time. She prefers the key fob over everything else.
Yeah,
I always
makes sense.
I always like because you've got your keys in your hand.
Yeah, you've always got your
keys.
keys.
Well, I think that's what wearables is about. It's about the choice. It's about deciding what you like to wear, when you like to wear it, and what you feel like wearing at any given time. I mean, I can't imagine actually wearing one of those silicon bands going to an evening do, but I certainly could if I was going swimming.
Yeah, or a football match.
Yeah, or a football match. But
actually, the thing I probably use most, the wearable thing I probably use most actually is the ring, and the reason for that is because when I go out for a walk or a bike ride, I've been trying really hard, especially during lockdown, to stick to this thing of like every day you have to get away from the screen. I saw something on telly about it. I can't remember why I started doing it, but now I'm like in the habit of it. So every day I'll go for a walk or ride my bike in the middle of the day. And so I tend to have the phone in the rucksack because, I'm either listening on AirPods or I'm not listening at all. And I'm lazy, so I have the ring. And so when you stop to get a drink or a sandwich or something like that or a cup of coffee, just paying with the ring is just so easy, So the point about choice is really so there was this early explosion of different people playing with different things, but they weren't fashion items in those days. They were very utilitarian.
Yeah.
Now, obviously today you still have to have the utility, right? So if you've got the football club keyring, it's got to be able to get you into the stadium and get you to buy a drink and allow you to vote in the player of the month or whatever it is they're doing with it. It's got to do all those things. It's still got to have the utility. But the truth is that's not why people like them.
No.
The reason why people like them is you hit on at the very beginning. It's brand. Now, I mean, look at watches. Watches are a good example. Some of the watches that have our chips in are very cool, right?
Philip Stark's a great example. One of the great, designers of our time, isn't?
Right. Some of them, they're plug ugly, and they cost a fortune. But I don't know why people buy them, but they do.
Yeah.
So that's not about the utility of the payment. They can all do the payments. As Terry's point about choice, it's really much more to do with fashion nowadays.
I think it used to be, if you compare it with the architect world, it used to be about function over form. I think technology has got us to a place now where form and function are as we can actually use form to functions just a commodity inside the form to have exactly what you want and love your brand. So I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about if I'm a retailer and I'm listening to, you guys, you're complete gurus in this subject. Why as a retailer should you start to look at this? Why would you get wearables into other parts of your product range? What do you think it is that the consumer wants?
It's not all about technology. I mean, the reason they would make those choices are to do with brand and market and all these kind of things. But there's a technological underpinning to it, which I think is useful to understand. And I'd sort of break that into three parts. So first of all, we're talking here about passive wearables. So we're talking about things that are like contactless cards. They don't have batteries in them.
Yeah.
They get their power from the readers in the shops. That means they can't run out of battery. One of the reasons why I never wear my Apple Watch is because it's always running out of battery. One of the reasons why when I come into town I prefer a wearable is because I am worried about my phone running out of battery and then I can't get back out the tube and all this sort of thing. So having something that always works is rather convenient. And of course, you can submerge it in water and drive cars over it and all this sort of thing.
But also, isn't it the convenience, though? You just mentioned convenience. I see so many people coming up to the turnstiles at the Underground and they've got umpteen bags around them, fishing to get a phone out and turn it on and then try and get the payment to work. And I go breezing through with my bracelet and they just look at me as if to say, what's she doing here?
It's absolutely magical to see. I've seen you do it as well. So perhaps you could talk about some of your customers, because, I mean, for example, what you did with the Golden Globes, that's a great one. But, perhaps talk about some of the applications to bring this to life for some of our, retailers that are interested.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, I think one of our most exciting customers is a customer who's now fitted the chip into the edge of the watch glass as you fit it into the watch itself. To me, that's a really exciting prospect because it now turns any watch into a technology-capable, payment-enabled watch. And it gives you the brand and technology matched without the complexity of having to redesign and without having to bring electronics to play into a beautiful analog watch. So I'm excited to see them, sort of develop and grow into the wider watch market.
So, I mean, we've got, there's many reasons why retailers are constantly looking to get close to their customers. What about what you're doing with in the football world? Some really exciting things happening across La Liga and, places like that. Tell us a little bit about that, Dave.
I think sports is a very good case of where this issue about the personal relationship between the customer and the brand is so different.
Yeah.
So if you look at a couple of things we're doing, there's Real Betis in La Liga. So Real Betis fans have branded key rings which contain the payment chip, but also get them into the stadium.
It's worth saying, isn't it, that, with this Digisex technology, the object can be many services, not just for payments only, and that's the beauty of having that one fob with your whole, if you're a loyal member of a football club and you go to the home and away games and you want to get into the stadium and you can use getting into the home stadium, you can use that fob for everything. That's pretty useful.
But and you'll use it for buying things when you're out and about in town as well, which shows it. But that brings me on to the sort of second technological point, really, which is the power of these little chips, which cost, I wouldn't say they cost nothing, but they don't cost very much.
We could say cheap as chips. But,
they're in fact much cheaper than chips at the moment. But they implement the powerful security you need to do real Visa and MasterCard transactions and open doors and all this sort of stuff, and they can do multiple of those. But they can also be a permanent connection between the brand and the consumer. So you can see, like, I've got my key ring, and I tap the key ring to my phone, and my phone shows me, I don't know, the player scoring the best goal of last week. Next week, when I tap it to the phone, it will show me something else. But of course, the brand knows that I've been tapping it and who's been looking at what, so they can they can provide more content that you like and this kind of thing. So there's a liveness to it as well.
It's real two-way engagement, isn't it? It's where and it's live. It's in real time. You're
it's an easy invitation to participate.
Yes.
in something. And there's nothing quite like being a fan and feeling that you're being invited to participate in the club's events and the club's services. So, fun things like, I think Dave mentioned, at the end of the match, if you tap your wearable, you have the right to vote. You only get one vote because that's the cleverness of the wearable, to know that you've made a vote. But you can vote for your man of the match. And the nice thing that invites them in to participate means they get entered for a draw for their man of the match shirt at the end of the day. And so there's nothing quite like feeling close to your brand when you love your brand.
Yes, I think certain brands, it's the story, isn't it? It's the, you remember where you were when you paid for something, when that match where your team won 3-4 and there was some amazing goal, or you can almost see, feel and hear and be immersed in the brand, and you are, because it's almost like an extension of your actual being, which is, it's like it's certainly taking that brand to another level, I think. And what about for the, this, we want this to be focused on retailers getting excited about thinking about creative applications that we haven't even dreamt up yet. The battens with them, let them, that they can do what they will with their brands, which is wonderful, because they've probably got millions of ideas coming all the time, and they just need to chat to us and we'll make the tech happen. But the issuers also are a key to this channel. So, what's in it for the issuing banks?
Well, this is where the third technology strand comes into play. So traditionally, the loading of the important security details into the chips has to take place in the factory.
Yeah.
And there's a supply chain there. You've got to get the right chips into the right devices to the right people, link them to the right cards and all this kind of stuff. But the technology that we've developed, ARCOS, which is called remote personalization technology, means that actually you can load that stuff in through your Android phone or your iPhone. And that means, you can imagine a situation where, I don't know, you have like a charity auction of a football or something that's been used in a match. And at the moment it's purchased, the auctioneer can use the phone to write into the chip, to activate the chip, to load it with the relevant data, who won it and when and all this kind of thing. And the ability to do that is something new. I don't know exactly how people are going to use that. I mean, I'm smart enough to know that I don't know that.
But I think there are some exciting applications that can come up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a platform for new ways of doing things.
I mean, we started that off. You mentioned the Golden Globe. We started it off with the Golden Globe just to, sort of test the concept. And effectively, the night that the Globe was given out, we didn't know who it was going to. We didn't know, who could have won it. And so literally everything had to be dynamically, in the instant, written into the Golden Globe, and it carries that level, that grade of chip. And therefore, the fraud has gone away. No longer can anybody put the Golden Globe up onto eBay and claim that it was, won by Meryl Streep, when it doesn't contain a chip and it doesn't contain the data that says it was won by Meryl Streep. So I think you could take that application much, much further. And it can be quite exciting as we talk about and think about global supply chains, as we talk about the circular economy, and as we talk about all the different identity requirements that we have. As our world grows closer and closer through connectivity, it also becomes easier and easier to defraud people, and therefore we are looking at that chip technology to help prevent and help secure those items and those objects.
Thank you for listening to DigiSec's Takeaway. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, share and subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or email us at hello@digisec.co.uk. We'll get back to you personally, and we may even bring them to the next episode as well, where we're looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.